This is the Oscar Freire Street, known in São Paulo for its luxury, high-end shops. While vast regions of Brazil are disproportionately poor, the country has a large and rapidly growing luxury market accessible to a tiny minority of the population. The Brazilian government says this minority is subject to an unfairly low tax burden compared to the poor, a view most economists and tax law experts share.
It's very fair, the taxation in Brazil. When it comes to tax, it's very regressive. So what that means? That means the poorest one pays a heavier load on their earnings when compared to the rich one.
President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has introduced a bill to increase taxes on the so-called super-rich, affecting specific types of funds with minimum assets of about $2 million and offshore holdings, with hopes of generating over $11 billion in revenue within 3 years.
We implemented an income tax exemption for those earning up to 2,640 reais. Previously, only those earning up to 1,900 were exempt. At the same time, we introduced a bill to tax wealthier individuals and those who primarily hold assets abroad.
The government has launched a video on social media to explain the plan, which still requires congressional approval.
I have investments in stocks. Will I be taxed with these new measures? No. Only exclusive funds with at least 10 million reais will be taxed. A fair tax system means more money to invest in the reconstruction of Brazil.
The UN has called Latin America the most unequal region in the world, and by some measures, Brazil is the region's most unequal country. According to Oxfam, the assets of Brazil's 6 richest men equal the collective wealth of around 100 million people, nearly half the country's population. The new government taxes on the super-rich are designed to reduce the country's social inequalities.
In stark contrast to Oscar Freire Street, Brasilândia is one of the poorest districts of São Paulo. The number of people living in extreme poverty grew by 10% in Brazil's richest city in the second half of 2022, reaching 760,000 people. This community leader emphasizes the urgent need for measures to improve the fairness of Brazil's tax system.
I believe the poor should pay lower taxes or even no taxes at all. For example, when we talk about food, there should be no taxes for rice, beans and meat, for example.
However, this former finance minister argues attempts to tax the rich simply don't work.
Todos os países, ou quase todos os países,
nearly all countries that have implemented taxes like this have abandoned the idea for a very simple reason. It's neither an efficient way to enhance government revenue nor effective in increasing state investment in society.
There's near consensus that Brazil's social inequality is one of the country's most significant problems, leading to an ongoing debate on how to close this gap. Taxing the rich represents the country's latest attempts to address it. Paulo Cabral, CGTN, São Paulo.